everybody. Let's see how this goes today. Hopefully my throat's a little better than last time. I wasn't coughing or anything until I sat down here, of course. And now, there's probably a bit of a psychosomatic component to that. We'll see. Popping over here. So last time we left off, let me slide this over a little bit so Alex Mason is happy. There, Alex, you can now watch it on your TV. Not Coda. Where was I going? I was going into Guanxi. Last time we left off, we had started building a little propagator framework inside of this sort of pseudo logic programming-ish thing that I was building. Let's see what we've got. Cleaning up after myself. I had my environment was using, we built this kind of funny skew binary random access list thing, and I started to rip over some code from an older propagators project for handling logs or small changes since the last time I'd written to a propagator in an optimal manner, but I hadn't finished fleshing this stuff out. So in theory, we'd written enough stuff to be able to say, hey, look, you're a propagator, you fire whenever you're written to, but we never tested it. And there's all this cursor stuff that needs to be ported out of impure code into pure code here in order to fit within this sort of mini Cameron-ish paradigm. And yes, I coughed myself blurry. Bring myself back into focus. Hello, camera. Oh no, there it goes. So what do we have so far? So we have a bunch of stuff for type-aligned or unaligned data structures a la Okazaki for catenable lists, basically. Free monads and freer monads using reflection without remorse. We've got the stuff from Logic T, from Oleg's original, Oleg and Kenshan, etc.'s original paper on reflection, not on reflection without remorse, on logic programming, and a little bit of stuff for doing unification. We might almost have enough stuff here to stick together and run a program. I don't know. And I had a laundry list of questions that I was kind of curious about for logic programming in general. In particular, if we look at something like, so let's just kind of review a bit. In particular, if there is some kind of like update monad story. Right now we're using like a state monad to say I'm going to take an environment to a future environment, but we don't actually let you do anything to the environment or everything to the environment. You only kind of get the ability to make these monotone improvements in it. And having a state monad would give you greater freedom than that. So an update monad is where you'll have like a monoid that acts on the state rather than a state be the thing you're told. So I could see giving you a monoid of what are the changes to the environment since the last time you wrote or you saw it. And that would let us, and what did we read from in order to compute those changes? And that would let us do things like recycle portions of a computation in other modified contexts. God dang. I have this other thought on like garbage collection and environments. It's one of those things where if we look at like mini Cameron or any of these other kind of logic programming things, they all borrow somebody else's garbage collector and then wonder why they can't clean up their environments. But with Logic T kind of skewing how far ahead the front runner gets from all of the less productive results. I don't know that like actually maintaining some kind of like CEK machine and then holding on to like one of the advantages of running like a CEK machine or something like that, where I can build an interpreter, I can write my own garbage collector for it. But with logic T kind of skewing how far apart things are in time, maybe that won't work so well. I don't know. One of the things I've kind of gone all in on over the last stream or so was whether we can use propagators to model constraints. So I'm just sticking propagators in here instead of the sort of Cameron-ish story, just to play with it. And I think I linked last time to a bunch of papers on things like the Hall marriage problem and various ways to implement all different constraints more efficiently than dealing with things by pairs. I would like to get to the point where we can drop a little like SAT solving kind of sub problem in here. One of the observations was that even though we're kind of like exploring multiple worlds, if I learn a clause through conflict-directed clause learning, it's only like I don't care which variables were used to learn that clause. It's valid under all like variable selections. It's tied to the clauses that I did unit propagation on or like the backtracking on. Those are the things that taught me that clause. So in theory, I could share those clauses that I learn across worlds, where we're kind of forking, like whenever I say something exists or whatever I have multiple choices of how to fill something in, we're forking worlds. This is basically the list story or list T story. And then the other thing is like, can we use reflection without remorse to speed up either triangular substitutions or speed up logic T more? And I would like a nicer form of like typed environments. Right now I'm just hacking it by saying, yeah, it's typable. That's the gist of where we were. At least as in terms of open research questions and stuff like that I'm playing with. Shrink that down. Bury it over here on the right hand side of the screen so that when somebody comes in, maybe they can look there rather than me having to stop and re-explain everything from scratch each time. So that's the gist of the repo so far and where we're at. I actually don't have much of a roadmap for where to go today. We'd left off with like partially implementing the environment. So the log entry was being summarized in somebody else's monoid. There's a bunch of stuff that we need to do in order to tweak those logs so that they're useful to the propagators involved. Otherwise, the propagator has to just be an idempotent function that looks at the lattice associated with a thing. So what is a cursor? A cursor is log and an IOREF int for what its position is. Let's just build a cursor. It's not going to be a log itself. It's going to be a cell ID. Given a log for A. And we will know filtered A is a monoid. That's the thing that we know about it. Okay. So now we're not going to do all this fancy masking stuff. Oh, I don't get to know the log. I get to know the var that we're watching. Something like that, a cursor for filtered A. Either that or a monoid for filtered A. Doesn't the var hold on to its conjoined and typable? So I just need var to log, and we're good. Where the heck did I put it? Given a var, I will give you an IO cursor A. It's not going to be an IO, it's going to be an M. In some kind of monad state, SM has env SM. We're using monad state again, kind of as a proxy until we figure out how to do the rest of that stuff nicely. So we don't need to mask. What we are going to do is first use cells var I. How do I want to do this? I want to come up with something that just does the lens. Given a var A, it should be a lens into env M. That gets me out what? Not a cell, because the cell what's something like that. Known cell A. I don't need the proxy anymore. I want to do the projection out and peel off the wrapper and all this crud. There. I want these to be classy, but they're not. There we go. I didn't actually need, I wasn't using the classy bits on. Yeah, let's go back to that. Thrashing. Get it right before we're done. So a known cell, this would be like a cell or something like that rather than a cell, but whatever. You could do this the other way around. And what did I want? I wanted some kind of cell V F cells var I something. I'm going to exploit F. call it appropriately. Cells var I, f prime s. F prime has to take a gets to know a functor for f in this thing, and it needs to give me a f of I don't care about any of this stuff, I'll just call it R. F prime K CFC is what? We first need to call K with a function that's going to take a known cell. No, a function that's going to take this is going to take a function from known cell to known cell to R, cell to cell to R. What is the right way to think about this? Man, I'm out of practice. Okay, CFC. Normally what I would do is I would put my s to f of s here and ignore it. I know the var, so the var has told me the details of this thing. So I need to do the lambda case on the knowns on the cell. Job of tweak. Got that. Pop, pop. Has environment. Var lens s known cell. That guy ends there. Because I missed that paren. $154. Skew with cell. Cells var A. First of all, let's see what we have to tweak. What's the type of tweak needs to have? Oh, it's much easier. I overcomplicated my life. Why is that a maybe? Oh, because this is going to have the ability to drop in an answer when the cell is missing. Cabal, yeah, Cabal REPL uses the old build, and Cabal New REPL builds using new build and all those kind of things. And so new build uses like that Nix style package store, which means that if I thrash around in what options I'm building with, I'm not stuck with only being able to use the last build. It will be able to store all the intermediate attempts to build and recycle them. It will use the dist new style directory instead of dist to store its contents, and a bunch of other stuff follows. Sweet. I'll take that. Tweak has this form, and we know f is an arbitrary functor. So I get nothing. I'm going to first call f with the default known cell. And this is going to be bottom. The cell log is going to be empty. It's going to be empty as well. Wait, log is... I have an empty log here as a thing. Log isn't a monoid. New log, false. There's new log, there it is. Okay, we will default to new log false. I think that's actually the right model overall, but we'll go there. We don't want to watch since the beginning of time. So we first call your thing with that, and then we're going to be given back another known cell, some lattice variable, some log, and some set of propagators. And we're just going to build a cell, proxy cb clcp, off of that. On the other hand, if I tweak KFK just a cell, I have to be careful because I have to go through and look inside of it and ruffle it and then do all this same stuff. So this is repeated. How did you get basic programming for a game? I don't know. I used to have this thing under programming. I couldn't find the category anymore when I went to go do a stream a couple days ago. And so I pointed this at something else. I might well be wrong. As to how I should be categorized. I mostly just want to write the code and talk to people. So if I'm in the wrong place, let me know. Known cell to maybe cell to maybe cell. So this becomes this other forget thing. And this becomes forget in its own right. Yeah, I haven't done any searching on Twitch since programming went away. Proxy A. Well, I guess I can just use proxy add a, can't I? It's adorable. Cell with maybe cell in 1436. Forget needs to give me back a maybe cell. But that's easy. Forget always works. Science and technology, is that the right place? Okay. Edit. Podcast options. Category instead of basic programming, science and technology. All right. It's plausible. Tag of software development. Is there such a beast? Let me go look. Done. Added. We'll see if that helps anybody find us. F. Ooh, but this should work for any choice of oh, because it's using I'm using F instead of KFK. $160 lattice A versus lattice A1. I have scoped. Why are you being a pain in the ass? CB. Fine, known cell, you can get a proxy argument too, if it makes you feel better. Make this thing go away. It offends me. Apparently I'm still wrong. This guy's going to at least take a proxy. Why are you? Known cell A to known cell A, maybe something. Second argument, CB on line 161 does not like this guy. Why doesn't it like this guy? We've proven, oh, just REFL. Patterns are not exhaustive. Nothing. All right. Drop this. I'm going to turn this into we're using a lens into a maybe cell to get a known cell A for all A. Can we get rid of the proxy on known cell since that wasn't the problem? Probably. Where's my forget? KFK is now F. I have to do conjoin semi-lattice. this way. Let's go back to that. It's a little more readable. Known isn't legal in general, but it's legal inside of here. Because we won't build one of these things, or we're going to use it with the illegal var. And what? Okay, so we wanted to fix up known cell to not have the proxy. There. I feel much better now that that proxy's gone because it didn't belong. All right. So we can open this thing up. We now know the type B, which is not actually a member of any of these parts. And we can stick the whole thing back together. So now I have cell. So I should be able to be smarter about doing stuff here. Like unsafe peak. I should be able to write that thing more directly. I just need make lenses. Cell known value. I have to cell V. Unsafe peak. Oh, this is the other one. Hey, JS Monk. M with function space. What do we got here? Why are you wrong? Oh, I don't want to give back a M of lattice. Var A. This is a lens. Into given a into S. Okay, lattice. Say lens prime. F of lattice. Oh, I've got to get a var. What was it called? Known cell value. I didn't underscore this appropriately or anything. There we go. Now we can just tweak the lattice directly for a given variable. So it's still unsafe though. Shouldn't be using this as a lens though. I'll just do this as use cell V. Don't write back to it because it's totally unsafe. And it's unsafe, so pink is prettier. Okay, I can live with that API. So we're down here playing with cursors, and that's what caused us to stop. Because I didn't want to. So the first thing is to use cell. So I have V as a var. This gives me a known cell, CB, CL, CP. CL is my log. And now what I want to do is modify L by watching it. And watch new, we wrote our way up above. And this is probably in the wrong thing. Started putting this into state int, but it felt wrong. Log int a. Let me go through and fix that up. Going back to the thing it was before. I kind of visually pattern matched it to feel like a state, but it's not. Watch new is taking me a T number of viewers or something like that. Might have these backwards too. Adding one to the count and leaving the since counter alone. Otherwise, it's having to bump the since counter by 1. And having one person watching the new state. So since is a timer. Finger tree, log entry, log entry. Why is this not all encapsulated in this, and maybe a? I don't like this. This is a terrible API. Let's figure out what watch new should be. Watch new really should be something like take a log a to a log a. TVCM, case M of, but I also need to tell you the integer or the state I'm watching, the int of my position where I've put a cursor. That's much cleaner. There. I'll take those. Screw that API. Now I can bring myself to use it. Multi-way if statements. 201, what's multi-way if? Oh, this advanced thing. Not done yet. So we use this thing, and we're going to modify CL. Ah. Be something. Can I do something clever here, like state? Hey, given cell V, and your log. What are your known cell log or something like that? I want to swap the order of those ints, and the result. Because now it's a valid action to pass to a lens. So I can choose the choice of functor to be int comma. So now what I want to do is like in state, in cell V, I'm going to watch new. I have to do this on known cell log. That's my ID. Was I clever enough to make this whole thing go away? This becomes like return cursor maybe the cursor should contain an entire var. Cannot deduce monoid filtered A. Done. Now let's make that pretty. So V that. Okay, maybe it's a little obfuscated. So we've got a new cursor. And an old cursor. It's going to do something much the same. Okay, so now we have two ways to form cursors. And now the real trick is advancing a cursor and reading from it. I'm not going to throw invalid cursors. Any attempt to use an invalid cursor will cause me to complain very, very loudly and crash the whole program. Holy Christ, it's going to be fun. Maybe what I should do is come down here and skip to delete cursor because it seems a little smaller. Read IRFP. Delete cursor. We'll again continue to use monad state as the proxy for the real thing we want. Cursor V. Okay, so first of all, we need to... We're not doing this read IO ref, all this crap anymore. We first have to use the cell. What do I call it? Cell. This is our workhorse. First go get cell V, and that gets me a known cell. And what I want to do with that known cell, which has some lattice I don't care about, and some log I do, I want to feed this some computation. That computation is responsible for taking the cell log to an M of a cell log. I get to know typeable A, and I get to know conjoin semi-lattice. It's a great $10 name. Thank you, Ollie. Why do I need to do this in log? I just need to do this. It's not over. It's, I want to apply a lens to my state. Cell V mod equals tweak that I want to apply. Here we get to know typeable and the thing. So it has a log. tvcm has to build a new log with the cursor that we know about at position P deleted. P is I in all of this code. This is basically all of this thing minus the writing the unnecessary unit there. There's no log state, it's just log. Log. And I think I will have just about resurrected the old logic. It's a bit of a jump. Split, data set split. 215, where are you? We're using things from finger tree. Else. Where did else come from? That's the original log. Got it. B shadows existing binding. All right, in theory that gave us delete cursor with most of the logic of the old one, or the same logic as the old one. We will never check validity of a cursor because we kind of lost that power now that we don't have IO refs holding onto things. And then advance is the masterclass version of this thing. Everything else, I think we've managed to resurrect. And with that, we will have pure propagators. How am I going to do this? We need to take a cursor and give us a phonetic action that gives us back not an A anymore. It's a filtered A. I have to put this in the appropriate monad and all of that. So right now, again, monad state SM has environment SM. Now all this logic needs to be refactored. because it is completely freaking useless. Advance cursor X at var, so we know that we know what filtered means now. We have a position. When I advance a cursor, I'm going to give you a new cursor because it's now a functional object. That's annoying. An answer and a cursor that's been modified. So P is now directly I. And what we're doing is all of this. First, look at the log. Cell X, known cell log, mod equals. It's not even mod equals, it's that's it, percent equals. So we're going to scribble out the filtered A there. I have to give you the updated cursor, because I need to learn its new position. We're going to update the log, and we're going to leave the cursor intact. This is a mess. Not doing anything here with this thing. I want to read out a J. Given that, I need to give back a filtered, which is the R, and I need to give back the cursor. It's going to be cursor X applied to some position J. So we're going to leave the L's, but here we have to give back two things. I have to give back a filtered thing and a new cursor. Cursor X, stay where you are, nothing changed. Such that C is 1. For the last person watching this update, we need to check to see. All right. So we have a, let's see if I can remember this right. my log entries are a sequence of like position counts. Like this is position number 0, position number 1, position number 2, position number 3. Followed by like the number of people listening at this position. There's 2 people listening at position 0. And all of these positions have at least one person listening to them. And at the very end, and then what I have is some monoid between here. So if at any point in time, the last listener moves from this position, to listening to the last position, we shoot up to, hey, there's 4 people listening here. This goes away, and this monoid collapses into this monoid, leaving me with this invariant. So I now have a finger tree with as many leaves as there are distinct positions where people are listening. And when you listen, you get everything that's been told to this finger tree since, or that's been put into this thing since your last update. And that's how I'm maintaining that sort of propagator, that sort of semi-naive evaluation of propagator model for how updates get through to propagators. At least that's the idea here. So we've got entries which have this kind of form. And at the end, we have the number of people, or the number of the position that is the rightmost position, the number of people listening for updates, and maybe an update. To tell all of these folks. So when I go to advance, if we are in the last position, if we are watching here, and there is an update, but there's only one of us watching, what I need to do is take this M and fuse it into here. That's what all this view-R stuff is. So for the only person who cares, we have to duplicate all this logic. So then we walk in, we find the number of people watching to the left of us, and we append A, this is the A that we have here, into the rightmost log entry. So that if anybody goes to look from there to the right, they'll still see it. Now log state doesn't exist, it's just log now. And in the new future, there was only one of us watching the right-hand side before, but now there's only one of us watching, and we're not watching the change anymore. So I'm going to tell you A is the update, and our new position is still V. So since we didn't move, we're good. On the other hand, if there's nobody to the left of us listening at all, then we're going to be our new log still has nobody listening to it. The current position count had one person listening. We're still the same position number V, and we're going to report back what? A is the monoid and I is our position, but I hasn't changed. So we give back the same thing, X again. Otherwise, we need to create a kind of new viewer position, which is going to be the right of the current head. Put ourselves there, promote the A to another M, and then we wind up with nothing on the right of us. So this is going to be a cursor X V prime somehow. First of all, I have to tell it back A. To tell the new cursor. I'm going to tell all this crap. This is V prime. But V prime is the wrong thing to bump. It's not log entry V. I guess we do have V here. Here it is. So we're still cursor X, but now we are V prime. All right, and we've handled everything up through here. Otherwise, we have to go back into the history because we're not looking at the most recent contents. And we're going to look for, we're going to split for wherever the viewer position, the log position is the one we're looking for. And first of all, we've got left and right. We walk into here. If it's empty on the right, so if there's no entry to view, we need to do this watch new thing, which is fixing an illegal cursor. I'm going to say this can't happen. This should just die. That's... So we went to view a position that we claim should be in there. We'll just yell. And now we've got a log entry at our current position. And it's very carefully using watch new as a building block for this thing, which is kind of weird to me. I wrote this code a long time ago. Log entry J C prime A. So watch new has a new API. Which made it really fancy. So in our new world, we're going to watch new an entire log. This is going to give me an updated log. So this has created a cursor at the far right-hand side of the log where we have probably decremented the count of people watching. Where did NL come from? So NL is the new left-hand side. If there's at least one person watching, it's the old left-hand side with the current counter decremented. Otherwise, we're going to view the left-hand side further, and we're going to smash the current entry into it. This is Guanxi. So Guanxi is still the project I'm working on. Basic programming was me attempting to find a category to put this thing under. Because programming is removed. I guess apparently it's now science and technology. So I've switched to that. Let me see if I can. It won't let me change the basic programming tag during the stream, so that's why you still see basic programming. So the other thing I need to do is give back the monoid that I'm watching, which is A. I'm appended with the contents of measure, blah, 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 measure. I'm appended with the fold of M. And then the new cursor. Which we're then going to shove into cursor X. And then K. So if this guy has at least more than one person watching it, then we just decrement its count and we leave it intact. Otherwise, we are going to view L, do all this crap. You are build the new log entry. Mass doesn't exist anymore. We don't write to an IO ref. Finger tree. Finger tree split. We leave the cursor at the old position. Leave the cursor at the old position. Fold M. Foldables fold. Hey, check it out. We theoretically have an advance for our cursor. I will be amazed if we manage to get through all of that with it all working. First try, but... Now we have purely functional cursors. Now I have to figure out how to bolt them into the propagators themselves because they don't know their own cursors. So when I say I have a propagator, I'm going to have some kind of state or something like that that I'll hold on to, which will hold on to my cursors. And then when I run the propagator, I will put back this modified state. Which will make this thing dangerous. So it gets to know its own propagator ID. It gets to have access to its state. Fire K with its own position, with its own state. We get a PS double prime and a modified state. I would need to know that the state hasn't been swapped out from under me. I really want something like this, but I can't have it. Because it's existential, the state. I can accept much more typable. Of course, this invites the same sort of treatment as cell. We'll use the exact same trick we used for cell, but now we'll exploit typable for the propagator. Propagator ID S. I hate this thing. We don't learn anything from this propagator ID, we just get. I guess a propagator ID should carry its state, and that way I can This is a mess. I don't like this API at all. The only thing I'm ever going to mangle here is this state. So maybe I don't need to do this whole known propagator story. That's maybe I can just get away with like a propagator state lens or something like that. Where was I writing it? I was writing to it in here. Propagators var I. I've got that much. How are we going to change it? A, the old state, and the listeners, right, or the cells. That's K. This is S. KPS, you are A, you are B. If that works, then I can write propagator K prime, S prime, C's. propagator state S. What am I screwing up here? Oh, I don't need an opening brain here. 159. Propagator's var I could fail. If it fails, why could it fail? The only thing we'll ever use to delete a propagator will be that saturation condition that we talked about during the propagator session. So that's okay. Yeah, okay. I'll take this as a... Now propagators have state. The states can now hold on to cursors. That way, what I can do is, if I want a propagator to listen to a bunch of inputs, what it should do is it should grab cursors into each one of the inputs. Then whenever it runs, advance the cursors to consume the input contents, compute an answer, and then drop it into the state. This is a completely unparallelized propagator engine. State is in the state monad, not as in global application state. It's still all pure functional code all the way down. Am I using Loopback app for audio streaming on the Mac? No, I'm not. I have my Mac streaming over to a Windows machine off to the one side of me. I'm using an Elgato video capture card to pick that up, and then I just have a mic and everything plugged into the Windows machine. And fair, Gaff. I've not quite reached that point in my life, but go you. It's a lot of code to write without any tests. I don't want to test it, though. Type checks. Should be good. Even though it's horribly, 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 horribly stateful and based on typable and all these things, right? Yeah, I think I'll leave it alone for now. What do I have left in? That was in env. Clean up trailing white space. So we have cursors. That is theoretically the thing I need for semi-naive evaluation of Datalog kind of things with propagators. What do we want next? Or do we? I want to take a quick break and grab some caffeine. I'll be right back. We'll figure it out from there. Hi there, I'm back. Sky Cannon. What is he making? I am currently writing a small framework for doing logic programming in Haskell, although kind of mashing together a bunch of stuff which was originated from a paper called Art of the Propagator, which sort of codified like 30 years worth of lore by saying, hey, look, all of these things are kind of the same thing, and which I've done talks on in the past. So I'm using propagators for logic programming. That's the gist of this. We'll see if the logic programming bits actually shake out. Yeah, that's the short or maybe long version. I don't know. So where should we go from here? Make sure I've got my I lost my Twitch chat. Okay, it's back. You have a lot of pieces. I mean, if I was a good little computer scientist, what I should be doing right now is like writing a test and building a minimal thing to drive the whole thing and all of that. As for this, let me switch views so I can actually see the chat because I lost it. And I can see it on the screen here. As for HackFP, I don't, what is noscapine? Yeah, I just popped some Mucinex or something like that in the other room, which should help a bit, but it won't help for like an hour or so. So no good for anybody on the stream. Sounds a bit heavier than what I probably want to do. The cough is actually trying to get rid of something. So we've got this unification stuff. I'm not quite sure how the unification story is going to fit into the propagator story at all. I mean, yes, unification is a propagator problem. No, I don't know that I want to use it this way. We at least managed to get the cursors right. I don't know. I'm thinking about calling it here for the day, mainly because my throat's still going. And that'll give me some chance to let this recover more. Any objections? Going once, going twice. Nice thing about me saying that and everybody being on a 30-second delay is I can say that and then just pull the plug. And yes, my wife likes to see me. So I think I will go do that instead. I will pick up from here hopefully sometime during the week. I've been having a lot of fun just getting this stuff written. And maybe bang some tests out then or before the stream or something. Because they're kind of boring to do on stream, I admit. Of course, this was pretty esoteric to do on stream, so I guess it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. All right, Subtle. And everybody, I will, I guess, see you next time.